Hey, David here. Today we're going to show how to build the wing for the slow stick, the carbon fiber arrow shaft slow stick that we've been flying. And if you want to see more details about the entire plane, please check my previous videos. Links will be down below. But this video I'm going to highlight how to build the main wing. I've had a lot of requests for it, and this is built from the flight test waterproof 4mm foam board, but I've also built it out of the 5mm and several types. Here's some examples of, I made this one maybe 4 years ago. It's probably, I think it was my first one I made, and it's got a lot of mileage on it, but essentially it hasn't changed since, other than adding the bolt holes as seen here, as well as the notches. It's an option. You can still rubber band these on. Here's the one I've been flying lately on my black slow stick. This is a little bit heavier foam board. It's 5mm. This foam board here is the standard white that you can get at the Dollar Tree, and it will last if you tape it and just don't get it wet. This foam board here is the latest it's 4mm. It's a little thinner, which I wasn't too happy about. However, it is the waterproof foam board from Flight Test. So I have a buddy who will take the DXF file that is shared on with all the STL files. He has a foam board cutter and he cuts them for me. So, but you can easily do this by hand by printing out the PDFs and tiling them together, making a template and laying them out. 3mm diameter is perfect. You can get tubes or the solid carbon rods, and these are the 500mm, and they work perfectly for the entire leading edge. You might have to cut off maybe an inch or two, a couple of centimeters. I'm just going to make sure everything's loose and I'm going to pop it out of here. So first step is just to remove the wings, get them all cut out. There we go. Next, this section of foam you're going to remove and leave the paper on the other side, and that's going to seal your wings together. You see, we removed that foam. Now you can fold it over and make a nice edge, and then this will fold over the top of that once we do the score lines. I'm going to do the same here for the other wing. If you look closely on this also, I've got the horizontal stabilizer and elevator, as well as the rudder and vertical stabilizer. There we go. There we go. Now we're ready to start forming the wing. To cut the score lines, use a straight edge or something that you can guide your blade with, and cut through the first layer and most all the way through the foam. You do not want to go all the way through the wing, because this is going to be the bottom side, and you notice that the cut does not go through the top of the wing. Now, since I had these cut for me, the cutter actually went through. I'm just going to run the blade through, make sure it's kind of, I'm doing this lightly and I'm not letting it go all the way through. But if you don't have it cut for you and you just have the guidelines, mark on there where you need to go and then use a straight edge and go most of the way through. Some people will dull the blade on the tip, run it on some cement or on a sander. That will prevent it from going through the paper, and you can just cut the foam. Once you have run the blade through all your lines, this is where you're going to score in the line to get it to fold. Run your carbon or the back end of your blade and just run it through and give it a good crease. You don't want to punch it through the paper, but you do want to fold the foam in so now it folds and gives a crease there, because eventually we're going to run a bead of hot glue into this crease and hold it there to give it its shape. And when you let go of it, it's going to stay. You just do that for each one of these lines. So we're just giving it a good crease, pretty quick and easy. You'll notice that immediately it'll want to fold and give the shape. It's pretty cool. Now the reason this has a little bit of a curve right up here, that's because you're going to have dihedral. So it won't be straight 90 degrees up and down, it'll be a slight angle, so that when they're glued together, you'll have the dihedral you need. So you'll want to fold this, and it'll be, the edge of that paper will be glued on the outside of that, just like that. You'll want to score both wings before you glue the edge, and just test fit the edge before you glue it. I'm going to glue inside here and then rest it over the top. Looks like the hot glue is ready to flow. I'm going to run it just on the back edge here, and go ahead and give it plenty. If you don't want to, if you're using the thinner foam. And remember that when you bring this up to the top, the foam on the side goes over the top. We'll go ahead and hold that there. Running my finger on the outside, just put pressure, make sure that it's laying completely over the top, and it looks like that's dried pretty good. I'm going to run the glue on the inside, but just where it just has paper. Then we're going to fold this along in there, and then make sure the paper goes on the outside. Okay. And I'm going to hold that. And these outer edges too. Now we can just start holding the shape, let it go a little flat, and then we'll just run the bead down through here. Let the glue get into the crack. And you can force it down into the crack. Just hold it while it keeps its shape. Again, I'm going to run the shape a little bit. This gives the wing the under camber, and you get the nature of the slow stick from it. It's amazing how stiff this gets once the hot glue goes in there. One last edge here. Looks pretty good. Pretty even. I'm gonna end up with hot glue all over. But that's it. Now at this point, we'll do the other wing. Okay, here we've got both halves built. You can just kind of join them. For the wing halves to join together well, I'm going to score, means going to cut some little slices into this surface so that the glue can have a little bit of bite into the foam. Otherwise the surface just will peel away from the foam and the glue. Do a little thatch marking in here. Do the same on both sides. So apply your glue. You can use white glue or hot glue, whatever you're comfortable using. I'm just going to go ahead and use hot glue on this build. Join the wings together, make sure the tips match, and use clamps. I like to use clamps while it dries here. Let's check that before it goes too far. Yep, looks good. While the wing is drying, it's a great time to prepare the wing joiners to accept the 3mm carbon rod. What I do is I just find a drill bit that is as big or about the same size as that. And then I'm going to run it through here with my drill, widen up these holes. Be careful doing this. You don't want to get your hand. Go nice and slow if you need to. Perfect. This gives your wing a lot of strength by having this go into the joiner, because this extends to the tip, but it also gives a lot of strength to the center part of your wing, preventing it from folding under pressure. It's really important. Okay, I have now measured and cut and test fitted into the wing joiners, the carbon fiber, and now we're ready to proceed. I've done this for both the leading edge and the trailing edge. And before we join these permanently, I'm going to add a piece of tape over this joint here. I'm just using the back end of the blade here to get a good contact, flat surface. It's flat. You can just use your finger if you want to. I just like to try to get out as much air as I can. Make sure I get a good surface contact with all the tape. Try to get out all the wrinkles, and it's okay if you don't. It's only foam board, but try to make it look as clean as we can. Now when you wrap this end around, it's not perfectly centered, but it doesn't matter. So just cut that, split it, wrap that under. And we'll do the same on the back. You see that? Okay, for attaching the carbon into the wing joiner, I'm just going to use some white tacky glue. You can use Elmer's glue. This just happens to be Gem Tack. I guess it's, this just has to hold it. You just don't want it to pull out. It is removable. If you decide to, you can really pry this out. It's not permanent, and that's by design. So get some glue in there. And then we'll just clean up the excess on the outside. If you put it on the the front edge like this, when you slide it on, it's going to go down inside the gap. Notice we haven't taped anything else on the wing yet. We're going to add tape around the carbon here. It is important to add the glue to the carbon rod. Don't just let it set in there and tape it in. I've done that before, and they will flex and kind of pull. Line up the center line, and the wing joiner to the wing. Verify the bottom. That's good. So I'm just getting a small piece here to tack it and hold it right here. Not too big of a science here, just since we taped near the center of the wing already, we're just try not to get any creases, just get it on there without air bubbles. And then if you notice, I just wrap it over while that's centered on that and just spread it across, get all the air bubbles out. And that's done too. That is huge in strength. It's crazy. But you get the carbon fiber all the way in here and the piece just holds that. These get bolted in. That holds a lot of strength on this wing. Put a piece in the middle here to kind of hold that exactly where we want it to be. All right, I think we can tape the full length of the leading edge on. And I start kind of in the middle here and then go out. That there is the basic wing. It's glued, taped. Now you just pop the holes for the bolts. Using extra 3mm carbon, you can widen out these holes here that go all the way through and insert them in here with some glue. I would use a more permanent glue like an epoxy or something. And attach them in there. These will be the pegs that will fit into the leading edge holes. And if you don't have extra carbon, I've used 440 screws that poke out just a little further, and I glue them in as well. For that, that's your basic wing. Now we'll just go fly it. Oh, it feels good. So, I think this wing is a little bit lighter than the black foam one. Oh yeah, this feels really good. Haven't had to do any trim. We'll just do a little flyby real quick. Then we'll put the camera on.
Drifting in the surrounding sky, so free. Colors blur on the canvas, only we can see. Whispers in the wind, they call your name. Up this high, nothing feels the same. You'll never know, you'll never see the world below, the way it breathes. Till you spread your wings and feel
Hey, thanks for following along. If you're still here watching, I appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the build video and keeping in the video to this long. If you like this video, please like it. Consider subscribing if you'd like to see more content like this. And get out there and fly. Have a good one.
Only those who saw can break.